afternoon. Good afternoon and welcome to BoxWorks. My name is Chris Yeh, and I am VP of Platform at Box. And let me just start just so I know who the audience is, because I think this is a pretty good-sized mixed audience. First of all, how many customers in the room? Box customers? OK, so mostly customers. How about developers or partners? A few of those. So a few technical people in the room? OK, good. How about any other? Am I missing anyone from the press? So I have to be careful? All right, good. All right, good. I knew it. All right, so I'll have to really be careful what I say then. How many people think software platforms are really interesting? Good. And yet you're here. Maybe it was the title that we put together that got you in the door. OK, good. So what I want to do, and these presentations that we are doing at this first conference are just going to be really short, right? We've got maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes of time that we're just going to spend some time talking to you about what's going on. The title of this presentation is, I Didn't Know Box Could Do That. And so it's really focused on not some of the typical things that you guys see in the Box website interface or how you work with that, but all of the other things that we do at Box that maybe you didn't know about. And so I'm going to spend some time on that and kind of go through that with you. So let me start by, is that TV going on? We're going to flip it on in a while. Yeah, thanks. So I'm just going to display over here right now. Sorry for those of you on the back of the room, but we had to hook a different device up to this TV. So most of you see Box as our website today, right? So you think about Box and you've got a series of folders, a bunch of files that people share and collaborate around, the comments on those files, those kinds of things. And you guys spent a few hours this morning actually talking about some of the features that we have there. On the platform side at Box, and we're building this team out a little bit more and adding more emphasis to this from a Box point of view, we think about this world. Actually, let me back up just a tiny bit. We think about this world as being driven by a bundle of technologies, right? So we spend our time thinking about, well, what technologies make that website happen, and what else can that technology do to make life easier for our customers, to integrate with our partners, to create some innovation, to drive some other use cases for Box. So that's what we spend our time on. And beneath the surface, there's this. It's a set of boxes, right? If you guys remember the Internet tubes thing from a few years ago, well, underneath Box is a set of boxes. And all of the stuff that we do here in these boxes can be exposed to the outside world in one form or another to create some really, really useful and interesting opportunities. And that's what we're going to spend most of the time on today. So those opportunities include, if you have an intranet and you want to integrate Box files into that intranet so it looks and feels like your existing intranet, you can do that through the Box platform. If you are thinking about Active Directory integration or single sign-on, that happens at the platform level here at Box as well. Maybe you guys use our mobile apps or are customizing mobile apps. That's all driven from our platform as well. And a number of other things that we do that are kind of outside the bounds of the typical website interaction you have are driven from platform. So let's just take a quick peek at how that works. I would normally never do this with an audience like this, but I thought it would be at least helpful for you just to see what it looks like under the covers. So here's that same file interface that you see. And in fact, if I go over here, we'll take a look at the folder structure I've created. Really simple, just a new folder 2, new folder 3, and this new web document. What we have under the surface is something called the API, the Developer API. API is short for Application Programming Interface. And this is something developers use to get at objects inside of Box. So if I took this data right here and exposed it in our API, it would look like this. And now that's a little bit intimidating and impossible to see for you guys, I'm sure. But if you really looked at it, it's really not that complicated. What it is just a series of breakdowns of the actual items in the folders. So here's that BoxWorks folder, new folder 2, new folder 3, and this web document. And when a developer gets access to data at this level, they can take that, parse it out, and then get to the kinds of data they need and serve it up in the form they need. So they can use this data to render a Box file structure inside your intranet with the look and feel of your intranet. It should be easy like that, right? So this shouldn't be rocket science to take data like this for a developer and actually produce it in a form that's customized, it's useful in lots of different forms. So I wanted to just illustrate that for you so you could see that it's really not that big a deal when you say, well, I want this customized. I mean, there's we see lots of instances with Box where we can do very small customization projects in the single-digit thousands of dollars to the low tens of thousands of dollars to get customizations in place that work. And it's because when you work in the cloud like we do and you expose data like we do, this is the kind of thing that's really, really easy to work from. I had a second example here as well, which is this is what a comment looks like when it's exposed. I had this comment called, I love this web document in here. And it's just a really, really simple comment. This gets pulled out and used by a developer in really easy form. Does that make sense so far? OK. So let's talk about the Box API. So this is a very simple call that we would make into our API. And you can see that you don't have to worry too much about this because of this. Joel, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Joel?
Chris, I'll be honest with you. Like, when I saw that sample code you had up there, it practically made my eyes bleed.
Oh, I love this stuff, Joel.
Like, you're calling it simple
Joel, I
and easy.
love this stuff.
I don't know.
No?
I don't know about you guys, but I don't really know what this means or how this relates, right? Like, I think how many customers do we have in here? I don't know how many coders we have, but
I saw a couple coders.
pretty tough stuff.
All right.
I mean, this is BoxWorks. You're going to put us to sleep here if you keep going down this road.
OK.
If we wanted that, we'd go to Oracle World. It's like, I don't know.
OK, Joel. All right, I get it. I get it. All right. So what are you proposing to do here?
So I think what we can do is actually probably apply this a little bit better, right?
Okay.
So I think a common problem that everybody's going to continue to face, be it with Box and other applications, is how do you get that data actually into Box? And as Box customers, I'm sure you experienced that firsthand. So maybe what we can do is we can walk through sort of a demonstration of like how do we capture content in the field and centralize that in the cloud, specifically with Box to manage it.
And this has something to do with the platform API. Yes?
Absolutely. So we can do this all automatically, right? So we can go to any web-enabled device, automatically create a folder in my account, and upload those documents.
OK. Well, let's see
do
that in
that.
action. OK.
Do we have a document? Let's grab this document here, and let's just see how we can possibly upload this into Box. I'll just write Box here on this document, and then we'll just go ahead and we'll scan this guy in. And I'm going to name this document 1, 2, 3, 4. Oop.
Hey, Joel.
Yeah.
This is going to work, right?
Hope so.
All right.
So let's do that. I think that's going to give them a better sense of what you're talking about. I don't know what the sample code is.
OK. So Joel, can you just describe what just happened here, besides the fact
Yeah.
that the paper went through?
So what we did is we used this piece of hardware that is connected to the internet, and it programmatically called my Box account. I had signed in through this browser here. It created a folder automatically, and it took this document that I just had, and it routed it into Box. So think of this being on a printer right next to your computer. It could be any web-enabled device. It could be your iPhone, an iPad, any type of Android device. These devices are now connected to the document management system all through the cloud.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
So this printer is a multi-function printer from Ricoh, which is one of the largest manufacturers of printers in the world. There's a new Ricoh system that runs a web browser on the front interface. And I think that's where a lot of these printers are going in the future, is that they'll all run browser windows or some similar form where they can just be updated on the fly. And so one of the things that happened with us in Ricoh early on was we had a joint customer who was really interested in the fact that they had these multi-function printers, and they wanted to be able to scan stuff into Box directly. And so one of those customers, which is a group of schools in Marin here called the San Domingo schools, decided that they wanted to use Box to hold curriculum and other kinds of things together for teachers, and they have these devices in every single one of the buildings. So one of the things you can do if you want to is come up after this and just log into this using your Box account, scan whatever you want in, and you'll see it show up in your Box account. So we'll leave it here, or we'll bring it out into the main hallway when we're done. So Joel, I know you're screwing around with another device, but what do I do now?
So as I mentioned, it's actually tied to your own account. So you can just log into your Box account.
OK, so I'm in this account already.
Yeah. So there should be a folder that automatically created called scan-to-box.net.
OK.
If we jump into that folder, we'll see it there for us.
OK, so I'm going to jump into, this one right here, scan to box, right?
Yep.
OK.
Should be 1, 2, 3, 4 there.
OK, so this one came in. This is 1234.pdf.
Yep.
OK. So what we're doing here, the way that the Ricoh team has this set up is every scan goes into the same default document folder. And so here, let me show you what this looks like, kind of make it portrait. So here's the document that Joel just scanned into the system, right? So now this is available in the system for use by anybody who who needs that. And that's what the San Domingo schools are using. They're taking curriculum documents. Let's say that somebody is, I'm ready to teach something, and I actually need to have an asset that I'm going to show to my students. They will scan it in one of these kinds of printers. It'll get loaded into Box, and then the teacher will be able to take it and use it in whatever form.
So you're naming and tagging it at that device. Where does that take place so it knows which folder or which place to go to?
Yeah, the name, so right now, the way it's set up is it's actually being sent to a folder called Scan to Box every single time. Yeah, the file name is actually being typed in on the device. There's a virtual keyboard that shows up on that. Yeah, so that's where it goes.
You add tags at that point in time too?
Right now you cannot, but through the API you can. Right, so one of the interesting things about this implementation, and the guys who did the implementation are actually here in the audience, is that you just call the API to add a tag, right? Just bring up a little box and then type your tag name in there, and that just gets sent along with the file in. Right, so it's an easy integration. So the reason why we're working on a browser interface like this is because it makes it really simple for them to call whatever elements of the API they need to call. I mean, they can render a Box file structure onto that device as well, and along with all the tags and comments. So that's what that does. So that would be the next step, right? So something from here to here, character recognition would happen probably in the cloud, as opposed, like OCR would happen in the cloud, not here. We don't have anything built in that offers that yet. Yeah.
And I think the beauty of the API is that depending on who you are as a customer, what your use case is, or what your industry needs are, it could differ. So we have these things exposed so they don't have to be conformed to one printer configuration. You can really sort of configure this throughout your enterprise. So.
All right, Joel, how are we doing?
Good, I think we got it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, just to, I guess, continue on that, right? So once it's in Box, there's lots of things that we need to do to actually be able to work with it. So in the example, if you want to jump into your web account here.
Yep.
So we can go to File Actions. And what this does is it actually brings different productivity tools down to the document level so that we can actually send it out through eFax. We can get it signed through one of our electronic signature partners, so that we can, again, open it up and bring that down to the document level.
Right, and a lot of you guys don't know about these file actions, which are third-party tools that we have in place that allow you to manipulate a file, watermark it, fax it. In fact, if you have an enterprise account, each account has 100 free faxes a month that they can use through eFax. So if you guys didn't know that, you can easily send any document out of Box using eFax. And these can also be built custom for your enterprises if you need to do that. So that's what file actions are. All right, Joel.
Yeah, cool. So in the keynote earlier today, Aaron had also talked a little bit about companies building applications on Box. So they take that, again, that code that I tried to erase out of my mind so I don't get a nightmare tonight, and they put creative skins over it to give a new look and feel to the application. So you're no longer restricted to what the Box interface is. If you want that file structure to be presented on the left-hand side, like a Windows Explorer, you should be able to do that. And that code that you saw can be parsed and displayed in any way that makes sense for your use case. So that's what companies are doing, like Dow Chemical, I think, was a specific example that Aaron had mentioned. So I'm going to jump into, I think we're all pretty familiar with the Box native iPad app. And I think, as a whole, right, it's still cool that you're able to access this content from your iPads, but it's still not that sexy. What you can do is take that sample code and actually build a custom application. And I have an example here of a custom application that was built, and it's actually tied to that same account that Chris had. So we can actually put a brand new look and feel to this whole document or this whole repository, right? And that way you can actually have it presented to the field. So here's that document that we just scanned up. So what we did was we captured it from the field, put it into the cloud to centralize it, and disseminated it onto a mobile device. And in addition to that, we can actually also plug in other services to render protects file formats that aren't necessarily supported with the Box native app, right? And in this case, it could be a multimedia file. If you look at the different verticals that we're serving, like healthcare, it could be a DICOM image viewer, architecture, structural engineering, looking at CAD files. All of this can be pushed together and what they call mashed up to bring a custom iPad app specific to your customer base, or to our customer base, to your needs. So these are the types of things that companies are looking to do, is really change the workflows of what's been traditionally just accepted because that's what the constraints were, to opening it up, and that's what's possible with sort of a cloud content management system. So that's what we mean when we say enterprise software is sexy again.
Great, thanks, Joel. What you're seeing here is being asked for by a lot of customers, which is a custom iPad app that salespeople, as an example, can use to share collateral with a sales prospect, right? So that the branding is there right on top of this iPad app. And so we're seeing that a lot these days, and so that's one of the most common things that we're working with customers to do these days. Besides some of those things, which are, I would say, a little bit more customer and forward-facing, we have a number of requests these days for, I would say, more boring enterprise features, like e-discovery. I mean, do you guys know, how many people know what e-discovery is? All right, so e-discovery is the process where if you are sued as a company, that you need to get access to your employees' files and documents and email, and you need to be able to provide those to legal in a form where they can search and find all of the important items they need for a lawsuit that's coming in. And so we were surprised to start seeing this at Box, but we're starting to see it more and more often. People saying if files go up into Box, they should be searchable from an e-discovery point of view. So what we did was recently created an integration with a company called LiveOffice. This is our first e-discovery integration. And what LiveOffice does is it allows you to list all of the accounts within an enterprise that need to have e-discovery turned on for Box, and then be able to archive all of the files that come into Box in a form that works. And you can see here what we've got is in this default account that we saw a second ago, scan to box.net, this 1234.pdf came in. And you can see that while we were talking, that it got archived into LiveOffice. So you can see it came in at 1228. So this particular file that was just put in through VestPrinter into Box is now on an e-discovery system available for lawyers to get after. So, I mean, these are the kinds of things that we're starting to see as Box starts to get more prevalent in bigger enterprises. These kinds of integrations are the ones that we're doing from within our platform that are really meaningful for people. So let me go back. I think we're just about ready to conclude this because we're almost out of time. So our capabilities within platform include this customization capability that we looked at a second ago. Let me just show you some examples. This is the news guide thing that Joel just showed you up here. But this is what O2 Media did with Box so that they could have their sales reps go out into the field and sell O2 products and services to other businesses. This is what Legg Mason is doing, which is also really cool. So these are really pretty straightforward to put together and give people in the field a really nice interface for looking at company collateral. So these kinds of things we're seeing a lot of these days, which is a good thing. From an integration point of view, we have integrations with NetSuite and Salesforce.com. We also have integrations with Jive and a number of other big players. Here's the integration within NetSuite. You can see that there's actually a tab for Box, and the files that are in there, this particular account uses NetSuite for CRM, and you can see a tag that links to the lead along with some other items that are tied. Yeah, go ahead.
Sugar CRM?
Sugar's not yet, but it's actually on our list. It's one of those things coming up, along with like Yammer and a few others that we've been talking to. Yeah. So we've already had a good couple conversations with right now, Workday and a few others. So we have a list of these that we're kind of going through. If you have any questions, please ask me. We've been talking to a bunch of people. And then on the outside, there are just a number of interesting things that happen every single day in our business, like this thing that came up the other day. Somebody created something called the Interviewer, which is just a really simple product where it allows, if you conduct a lot of interviews with people, you type in the interviewee's phone number, your phone number, it hooks you up at the time that you designate, and then it records it all and puts it into Box, right? Just it's stuff that we would never have thought of. I never would have thought of it. These are the kinds of things that actually end up being really cool, and this is a company that's trying to get some venture funding now, which is also really cool. So with that, I wanted to conclude. There's a lot of useful things you can do, a lot of cool, useful things you can do with Box. We just kind of touched a couple of things today. Joel and I are here all day, so please come find us if you're interested in learning more. And there are a couple more sessions I just wanted to direct you to in the afternoon. And that includes at lunchtime, we're going to announce the winners of our Mobile Dev Challenge. So we'll just tell you who won our Mobile Dev Challenge, and those guys built some really cool stuff on our APIs. We'll be out in the foyer. Hopefully we'll move this printer out in the foyer with us. And then there's also a session on building on the Box API this afternoon. So that is what we wanted to do in the time we had. Did we make our time? Yes? Awesome. So thank you. 3 more minutes. So we have 3 minutes for questions if you have any. Yes, please. Yeah, this came up last night in a conversation. So every file in Box has something called a file ID that's associated with it. And that file ID shows up when you look for that file within Box. So the way that would be implemented is you'd have a barcode scanner. You'd scan that barcode. Let's say that the document had a barcode on it. You'd scan that barcode. The number that came out of that would then be used to directly reference the file within Box and surface that file in some form. So that's how you would do it. And we can talk more about that if you're interested in that. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
So I'm really interested in some of the Salesforce iPad apps that you had demoed or briefly showed.
Yeah.
One of the problems with trying to figure out what people are doing as far as Salesforce automation goes is it's all internal, so you're never exposed to it. Even the Foresters and Gartners aren't even exposed to it generally.
Yeah.
So do you have any case studies or anything like that? The things that
Yeah, we have a number of customers who are doing. Interestingly enough, most of the customers who are doing this with us, I would say 10 to 20, somewhere in there, don't like to talk about it.
Right.
But we can certainly have a conversation around what's going on there and what's happening. So be happy to do that. Yeah, thanks. Anything else? All right, thanks for your time. Enjoy the show.